it's a shame. It always looks like we learn lessons from our failures, but I actually learned some things today from my successes, and I also learned some things from my failures today. And the name of the game is I can't keep emotion out of this. I really can't. I go in with like this whole game plan of I'm going to be so technically sound and sure, and then emotion gets the best of me. I'm going to show you 4 day trades I did today. Only one of them was profitable. One of them was pretty bad. One of them was a mistake, meaning I bought a put instead of buying a call, which I think we've all done that. But the main purpose is to let you know, one, I'm not perfect. I'm with you. And if your portfolio is getting smacked a little bit because it's getting smacked, I got a Leaps video coming out later this week about how we can talk about that. But I just want to be transparent and let you guys know, like, I'm not winning right now as I'm learning. I mentioned on the Average Money podcast that we recorded last night, my Q1 goal is, or my Q1 expectations for trading, swing trading and day trading, is to like probably lose money. That's my realistic expectation. It's market tuition. I took a certain amount of money that I said, okay, I can lose this amount of money to learn. I believe in market tuition. I've done it before with other option strategies. Do I want to lose it all? No, but I expect that I'll probably lose a fair amount of it. And then Q2, my expectations are to be break even. So still down for the year, a loss in Q1, a gain, break even in Q2. And then Q3 and 4, try and see if we can get a little bit of a roll on. For me, luckily, most of Q2 is over my summer break, where I'll really be able to jump in and figure this in and be more consistent with it. But these trades happened on both Robinhood and on Webull. I kind of have my accounts split right now. I am trading with settled funds because I want to avoid the PDT rule. And I also want to make sure that I'm not rushing in. If I had 25 grand in, because I had 25 grand in my Robinhood portfolio, I probably would lose more money faster. Like I said, I put some money aside that I knew I could pay towards market tuition. So I kind of split it up so I didn't have 25 grand in. I can't just blow through some things. So I want to show you like what I learned today. Here is the Webull. And if you are new to Webull, I just did a video on how to like lay this out. I apologize if you're on a phone and it looks kind of small. I'm going to talk through the things that I'm saying, but maybe this would be best on like your computer or something like that. Here's what kind of happened with the first AMC move. The white line here represents the market open. So I was all excited and we had like a little bit of a start to the green yesterday. And then it was coming back down and kind of closed out the day on a little bit of flush after that meeting. It hopped right up and then recovered back down to the 30 EMA. And then it started to climb. And frankly, I just got excited.
And I'm still excited
that this one was gonna be green. I gotta be honest, my excitement blurred the fact, and here's the lessons that we need to learn. It blurred the fact that the RSI wasn't in my favor. It was pretty much overbought. And also, too, that the MACD was starting to kind of crest. Now, granted, it hadn't came over yet, but it was kind of looking like it might. I got in and I was excited and it just started to drop. Now, here's the lesson for this one and something I've been absolutely terrible at. And it's the reason why I'm in the red in all of these other ones. They are a little bit longer in expirations, but my losses so far this year, here is the reason. The reason or the good thing that I came out of this and one thing that I'm very happy with myself about is I cut my losses early. I took the L early. So far in this journey, I've been taking the L at the end or when it's too late or when I'm just screwed. Like, for example, Palantir. I got those at an average price at $1.10. They're down to 8 cents. I did not know how to set losses. And that was one of the things when I went into this, I said to myself, I have a plan. I'm going to get out of this if I need to. And it dropped down to the point I set a stop loss and boom. I had to get out of there. Okay, and let's go to the order so you can see the actual time. So I bought a call here, and that was at 9:53 in the morning, and then I was out by 10:22. No good. Okay, and on that one, I ended up losing 229 to 163, which is like a 300 and change loss for that one. I then started poking around, and I got to Facebook. Here I actually took some notes because I did 2 Facebooks. Here's the market open. I'm going to scroll this out. We can see that I bought right here. And I put a note that I should have waited for the break below the 180. Okay. So this was a put, and I saw it coming down, but I did not wait. The lesson for this one is I did not wait on enough confirmation. I really should have waited until this dipped below. I saw it dip below the EMA. I probably should have waited for a more conscious effort. I tried to look after going back and realizing how bad I did with the AMC. I was like, okay, RSI is definitely downward. MACD, let's try and do this. But the thing that I didn't wait for really that confirmation that I should have got. And then it pretty much stayed flat. It didn't really do much. And once again, I said, let's not force this. Let's not wait for a miracle to happen. Let's just say this was a bad trade and let's get the hell out of here. Now that for me was a 310 down to 1260. So I took another $70 loss. And at this time I was so frustrated with myself that here I am losing money again. But in hindsight, I was thinking to myself, what can I do? And that's when I started taking notes. So for the rest of the day, I took notes on each trade so I could go back and do things like this. And the lesson for this one was, if it's not working, then I'm just gonna get out. All right. But I kept watching it, and I tried to see if something else would happen that would be a little bit more in my favor. So then I got back in, and what I did on this one was I did a call this time. I was like, all right, maybe it's gonna go up. Pretty much what I saw was the MACD cross. It came across there, and I was like, all right, it's going to be riding up. So let's go call this side instead of put. And also with this one, the last strike was 302. This was 297. So I went in the money with it to give myself a little bit more leeway, a little bit more play. So I bought this one for 1160, and that was at 1148. And then I sold it right here at 1230. So this was the first little bit of profit. And going in, we can see I got excited and this sell was too early. So here's another trend that's been happening to me. I'm taking a lot of little tiny nuggets of wins, but then I'm getting smacked at a loss, and it's clearing all of my wins out and then some. This was a little bit of that example. I should have stuck to my guns a little bit. We see that the MACD the momentum was still trending up. We were still, when I sold, we were up around 63. So we were getting towards that spot. And if you look, I saw one red candle and I abort, get me out of here. It was green. I was feeling good. Now, granted, how long would have stayed if I would have made this quote a perfect trade? Maybe I would have stayed until it crossed down. And then I realized in hindsight as well, maybe I didn't, because if it still would have went up and I would have waited for that MACD to cross down, we could see I would have been about the same exact price that I sold. So I maybe wouldn't have, it probably would have ended up being one half dozen of the other. And then I would have had to wait another 20 minutes for this to happen. So I was happy to at least get a win under my belt. The next place that things started going wrong for me was I got into AMC again. And this was the second mistake that I made. I said, oh shit, I did a put, a not call, and then I got distracted. So you have to understand too, guys, I'm also doing this while I'm at work. And I gave tests today, and I'm in my office. I have an open door policy. And I literally made this trade. It was a buy at 144. And I thought I did a call. I rushed. And then a student came in and started asking me all these questions. And I'm at work, so I gave them my full due diligence. I did not have my computer open, nothing. They talked with me for about 20 minutes, pretty much till here. So then I got in and I was like, okay, right when it was coming down like this, and I was like, oh man, but then we started seeing green, and I was like, oh sweet, green. oh, sweet, green. And I went to look at what the position was looking like, and the value kept going down. I was like, what the hell? That's when I realized that I sold the put, and I was like, I'm out. So this was just a situation where I should have realized instantly that that I did the wrong thing, but unfortunately, because I was at work and I'm doing this as a side hustle and fun, So that one was 144 to 29, not that big of a deal. So we're talking like, what was that, like $14? So that one's not the end of the world. Now the win. I had a really, really good win, which kind of helped balance out the rest of this day. I'd gone through all of my settled cash inside of Webull. So I used Webull charts, but then I had to go over to Robinhood to make these trades. And this was with JP Morgan. So here's the open for JP Morgan. This happened a little bit later in the day. So this is 12:30, right after my lunch. So here's essentially what happened with this one. And I don't know if it was a great trade or not, but here was at least my mindset and my thinking when it went into this. I saw the EMA for a pretty good amount of time from about 11:54 till then. So for the last half hour, the SPY was on the way down, TQQ was on the way down. Everything was trending kind of in the downward direction at this point in the day. And it was using the EMA as a resistance. So I figured as long as I'm staying down, and then we started to see the curve in the 180, I'm like, all right, this looks like a pretty good downward trend. The MACD was slow, but nothing crazy, but it was still slowly downward. And if anything, the RSI wasn't in an amazing place, but I was kind of just going with my gut, trying to figure this out. Like, you can't go all by technical analysis. You have to kind of get a feel for the market in that time, I think. And I went ahead and made 3 puts. I bought 3 puts. Why 3? I wanted to go in for about 10% of the portfolio value. So that got me to that 10% of the portfolio value. And if you've ever done this, when things go right, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a gambler's mentality. Maybe it's that warm, fuzzy feeling, but it started to go down. And I don't know if I early sold this or not, but essentially it got down to here. We can zoom in a little bit. And once again, I saw one green candle and I freaked out.
And I'm still excited.
I mean, there were green candles along the way, but at this point, I was getting to that point where you say to yourself, man, I'm up. If this bounces and I lose what I'm up right now, I'm going to be pissed, especially after the day that I had. So I said, hey, let's get $940 back, and then we'll leave one as like a little bit of a runner. All right. So that left me pretty much $300 in the hole. And I was like, I'll let one run. And this is where I was kind of like mad that I might have sold a little bit early, but it came back up and I saw it coming back up. I saw the MACD coming. I'm like, Brad, let's see. We'll set a stop. If it breaks above the EMA, these were things I was telling myself, that's when I'll get out and I'll take my wins and I'll get out. But sure enough, it did bounce and then it started coming back down. And then we see I sold out of it at pretty much 105. Okay. Couple things here. Full transparency. This is when my bell rang and I didn't want what happened to me earlier in the day when I stepped away from my computer and it went against me. I said, let's just take the loss. I did see the fact that the MACD was crossing down. We were heading now into an oversold area. I probably, if I was sitting at my desk, I probably would have held this down a little bit longer. And in hindsight, right, hindsight's 2020, this could have really, really been a good, successful trade for me. But also, when I sold this, I knew that I had an old swing that was going poorly for me. I knew that if it kept going, if it went up, I'd be very happy. If it kept going down, I had a swing that was expiring tomorrow that I had to cut losses on. And that's this 2 down here that I got $51 back. I ended up taking like a $200 realized loss on that position as well. So all said and done, I pretty much lost $300 off the bat. Then I lost another 100 or so on this. And then I got them back with the small wins. And I ended up the day like down maybe like 331. But more importantly, awesome lessons. 1, take the L early if you need to, Brad. And I'm glad I did that, because with that AMC, that could have, if I wouldn't have taken the L early right here, in the past, I've been riding this all the way down, and I would have been down here. I would have lost all my money. Instead of losing $100, I would have lost it all, and I would have been in a much worse position, and I wouldn't have been able to attempt to do this. I was thinking to myself and watching people, Brad, let it go down, and we can enter a new trade and get our rebound that way. Instead of trying to hold on to trades and have them hopefully go in your favor, I'm finding out, get out, take the L, and get the win either later on or the next day, and that's going to be okay. We have to look at the big picture, which I have not been doing. The other major thing that I was found out was I wasn't getting trigger happy on my losses, but I was getting trigger happy on my wins. Stick to the plan. Try not to get out too early. I think that was a little bit of, I've taken so many losses that I wanted to, get some green under my belt. I wanted to get some wins under my belt, and I feel like that's a lot of the reason too why I sold a little bit early. But overall picture of the portfolio, and if I have some more days like this, I'll definitely hop on. I think for the year so far, so we're 27 days in, about to get through our first month, I have realized losses at just under $1,000. And right now in play, I have about $10,000 or so, between $10,000 and $12,000. And if we can see, a lot of my positions, guys, are, let's go to positions. February 18th, but that's a covered call. March 31st, April 15th, March 18th, and February 18th. So that Palantir one's about 22 days away. And then the other ones are about 50 days away. So we have at least some time before I need to panic. And also I can start writing some calls against them if they end up in the money. And also I'm going to be using my settled cash to hopefully make some more smaller wins to mitigate some of these bigger losses. And like I said, end of Q1, March 31st, I expect to be down. I really do. And I hope to just learn a ton between now and then. And then Q2, that's really when I want to put my foot on the gas and really learn some things.